If you're running a small business or a content page, your inbox is probably full of the same questions. How much is this? Do you deliver? Or the quintessential, is this still available? For me, running a personal vlog, I usually get comments like, this is so good, love your content, and while that's great, I've always wanted to respond better or even guide people towards something more meaningful. With Manychat, creators and small businesses are going from 0 leads a day to sometimes hundreds or even 1,000 just by automating simple replies and making it easy for people to interact and opt in. In this video, I'll walk you through how to set up your first chatbot step by step and show you how to turn comments and DMs into real connections, leads, and conversions. Okay, so to get started with Manychat, the first thing you have to do is follow the link in the description to sign up easily with Manychat. Now, once you're on the website, you have to click on Get Started. And once here, it'll ask you where you would like to start. You can choose Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, Messenger, or Telegram. We're going to select Instagram for now. And then it'll ask you to continue with either your Google account or your Facebook account. We're going to start with our Facebook account so that it's easier to connect our social media platform later on. Once you've signed in using Facebook, let's now put in our email address. Once we've verified our account, the next step is to connect our Instagram account. And once you've connected your Instagram account, it'll then ask you a couple of questions about what your business is or what your purposes are for creating a Manychat chatbot. It's just going to ask you these questions so that it'll know what features to recommend or which features to kind of put on the back burner. But essentially, it'll help Manychat understand your business and your goals. Once that's done, it'll take you to this very dashboard. It's kind of the overview for the entire platform. Now, over here, you'll see the list of accounts that you have. I've only connected one Instagram account, so that's the only one we'll see here. Below that are some navigation options. Home is kind of your overview of the entire platform. Contacts is a bit like your CRM, where all of the people who've interacted with your chatbot or all of the leads that you've captured will show up in. Automation is basically where all of the automations that you've created or are managing will show up. Live chat is the place where all of the messages from everyone who's interacted with your social media account will be put in. This is also where you can kind of hop into the conversation if in case you want to take over from the chatbot. And settings, of course, is settings for the entire platform. Now, I know what we're all here for is to create the automations, create the chatbots. So let's jump right into that. Okay, so to get started with the automations, first let's click on the automations tab. And over here, as you can see, I already have a couple of automations that I've tried and started on this platform. Basically, you will see a couple of different things. Over here on the left side, you will see My Automations, Basic, and Sequences. Basically, My Automations is where all of the automations reside in. Basic is essentially all of the essential automations that you want to add for your social media platform. If you've ever messaged a business on social media and gotten all those little prompts and options that you can select directly, this is where you set that up. So there's that over here. There's a story mention reply, default reply, and all the other quick menu items. Those are kind of the basic automations that you can set up with Manychat to help you get more conversions or leads with your social platform. Sequences are basically just a more advanced version of an automation with different messages or different messaging sequences based on the person, the tag, or how long it's been since their last reply. So the sequences is where you can see that. But for this, we're going to start with building our first automation. I am planning on creating an automation where whenever someone types a comment on one of my posts, they will then be DM'd by Manychat using my account, and they will be sent a link to go to my website so they could maybe see everything that there is to know about me or learn a lot of the things that I'm selling or giving them as a free download. So basically with Manychat, there are two options to build that. The first is kind of the basic builder, which I'll show you in a minute. And the second is a visual flow builder, which is a more interactive form of building your automation. So just click on new automation here. And as you can see, it'll already show you a lot of pre-made templates for building your automation. If there's something that you possibly could have thought of to build an automation with, I'm 80% sure that they're already here as a pre-made template. And for that remaining 20% that's possibly not here, you can create it with AI. So it's that simple. For this one, we're just going to start from scratch. And once we're here, this is what I was talking about. This is called the flow builder. Now, obviously, because it shows you the flow of the automations, it's a visual drag and drop builder type that you could kind of visualize all of your automations. But there is another type of builder, or there is another format for this, which is called a basic builder that you can go to by clicking on this button right here. So the basic builder is kind of just a step-by-step builder over here without any visual flow representation of your automation. You can just add a step, set the settings, and get a preview on the right side here. But we're just going to start with the flow builder because I think that's cooler. So on the flow builder, of course, we're going to start with the trigger. Now, as I mentioned, the trigger here is whenever someone comments on a post that I've already made. So we're going to select that. Surprisingly, it's the first one here. User comments on your post or reel. So I'm just going to click on that. It'll ask me whether if it's a specific post or reel that I've already posted, or all posts or reels, or the next post or reel that I post. Now, I want it to be active on all of them, and I click on that and click continue, and then it'll ask for what specific keywords I'd like to use to trigger this automation. I could just essentially select any comment so that anyone who comments will be DM'd, but I think that's a little too much for me, so I'll just use the word how as my keyword. I could also use keywords to exclude. I could add that here, but I'm happy with that for now, and then let's click on continue. And from here, you could also have the option to set up a public reply on the comment. So when they comment how, which is what we set up, it'll send them a DM, but it'll also have the option to give them a reply to that specific comment. So yes, we'll select yes, and there are some random replies that are already generated, but you can also add new ones if you wish to do that. If you don't want to send a reply, you can click on no over here. So we'll just leave that as is for now and click on save. All right, now we have the overview of the trigger that we have set. All posts or reels will be active for this trigger. The specific keyword is how, and these are the public replies that we've set. So it's already saved, and we can just click out of it so that we could proceed to the next step on the flow, which is send a message on Instagram. Now, just click on this to edit this step, and it'll ask you for the message. Okay, so we will set it as a comment reply. This will still go to their DM, but it'll show as like a reply or a DM response to their comment. Now, you have two options here, which is the first is within a 24-hour window, and next is as a comment reply. We're not really going to go into that deeper, but you can just hover over here to find out what that's about. Now, we're going to add our text. We're just going to say, hey, I saw you commented and I know you're interested. Here's some more things to learn about me. All right, now obviously you can improve this using AI. Okay, so the magic of AI, folks, we have turned our basic comment into something more friendly, something more engaging, and we could obviously add a button right here. Maybe we'll put open website and add the URL of our website right here. Okay, so I don't actually have a website, but I just put in Google's website just to test it out. And then we'll just add a button. Maybe learn more would be more appropriate. So now that we've added our button with a link to our website, we could basically just end here. This will be our entire flow for the entire automation, but to make it more fun and more kind of useful for us, we can also add additional actions here. So if we just enable this button here, we could make it so that after they do this, there will be more actions to follow. So for example, I want to add a tag to this contact so that they could be enrolled in a marketing campaign that I'm going to send out later on. So I could just click on add tag and maybe IG follower. So I could use that as my tag, click on create. And then this contact that interacted with our chatbot that is added to our contacts tab will be tagged as an IG follower. Now, again, we can end here. Or if you want to take this further, you could also just keep adding more steps to this workflow right here. But this is getting too long, so we're just going to end here. I think this is enough of a flow for our IG followers. So now that we're done, we can either preview this automation. There you go. So that works. And then now that we've previewed that, we can just close this and we can set it to live. So up here, you can set this automation to live. As you can see, the trigger has been turned on automatically, and then it's already set to live. By the way, before you forget, let's make sure to name our automations. As with anything in life, make sure to organize and name things so that it doesn't get lost. So that's the simplest name that I could think of to put there. We're just gonna use that for now. By the way, other options here on the visual builder is you can auto arrange the steps using this magic wand thing here. You can zoom in or out using these zoom options. There's a help button over here, and this is where you can add more steps. You could add logics, conditions, extras, AI steps, and other content from here. So if you want to build a really big, really elaborate kind of workflow with Manychat, you can do that here. And the visual builder is the best way to do this because it can give you an overview visually what the flow is, where you are in the flow, and what paths your social media followers or anyone interacting with your chatbot will take. But again, as mentioned earlier, you can simply go back to the basic builder if that's not your style. So the steps are here. There's an attached action. You could also find the trigger here and add new steps using the basic builder. But for me personally, the flow builder is much, much better. So now that we're done creating our automation, obviously, this is already live, so we can just go back to our automations page and you'll see that it's already live here. You can see the runs here, meaning the number of times that this automation has been run, and the click-through rate, meaning the number of people who click through all of the links that we've sent, the last modified date, and a couple of different options right here. Now that we've already discussed creating an automation, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the other features of Manychat, namely the contacts tab and the live chat tab, because those are also very interesting in helping you keep engagements high. So let's jump right into that. Okay, so now that we're done talking about all the automation stuff, building the automations in the workflow builder or the basic builder, the next thing that we're going to talk about are the other features. Now, they may be kind of not the main selling point of Manychat, but they are nonetheless very important in building a following, collecting leads, or kind of building your campaign with social media. The first thing is the contacts tab. Now, if we go to the contacts tab, as you can see, we already have a couple of contacts here. Basically, this is where all of the people who've interacted with your chatbot, or you can actually import contacts manually as well here if you want to. But basically everyone that interacted with your chatbot, messaged on your social media platform will be put in here. Now there are some options here. There are some segments or kind of filters to the contacts. You have an option to create a new contact manually or import existing list of contacts. This is me when I tested my other chat. This other one is the one that I created manually. Let's open that up to see more of the options here. So it's like any other contact card. You can add a photo, and from here you can actually exclude this contact from all automations by clicking on pause automations here, and some other information here about subscription options and other information about the contact. And over here, you could manually add tags to this contact, or as we did earlier, this will be automatically done if it's part of a workflow. You could also manually subscribe them to a sequence. You can see how they opted in, and you have some system fields which are automatically generated from, when they reached out. You could also add custom fields here. You can click on this to manage your custom fields. Now, this is very helpful if you want to build some more advanced automations or workflow to support your social media endeavors. But for now, we're just going to leave it as with the system fields. Also, there are other options here. You have merge contact if you have duplicates, unsubscribe from account or email, and download contact data. This is one that actually came through from Instagram. This is me when I tried or tested the automation. Now, as you can see, the opt through is quick automation, and there are some other system fields here. Basically the same thing, and you can also start a chat directly from here. Now, the contacts option are obviously kind of ubiquitous with a lot of other platforms like this, CRMs or chatbot platforms. Now, there is another option which is called the live chat. If you've ever used Meta Business Suite, you know what this is. This is basically the inbox for your social media platform. So all of the connected platforms or all of the messages on this account will be directed here. So you can directly reply from this inbox. Now, all of the message will go through here, even the ones that are just communicated via the chatbot. So whenever like the automation was set up earlier, there was a how comment, and then the chatbot will send them a message. They will automatically already appear here. If they reply, you can see their chats over here, and you can jump in whenever you feel like you need to hop in and take control of the conversation or respond yourself. Obviously, you may have already set up some automations or sequences for this specific chat, but Again, if you want to hop in or kind of do a lot more personalized responses, you could also choose some canned responses or add them to an automation directly or several other options. Now, obviously, these are very important when you're running a social media platform or a business to have a place to see all the contacts, to have a place to see all the messages, arrange the messages, assign it to other people, or just basically do whatever you want with them. And Manychat offers all of these features for you right here. So, now that we've built our first automation, here's what I think. ManyChat isn't just about replying faster, it's about showing up better. It helps you stay present with your audience without being chained to your phone. Even if you're just a one-person team, this kind of automation lets you scale your reach, grow your leads, and stay personal at the same time. So, don't overthink it. Just start with one small flow, test it, learn from it, and you can improve it later. And again, the best way to get started is to, well, get started. Check out the link in the description below to sign up to Manychat and get started with automating your workflow.